Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Florida Bowl game preview. I'm Ron Lighthall alongside Terry Spain. Terry, sir, how are you?
I am doing great, Ron. Thanks for having me again. I'm excited. This is bowl season. So with bowl season, I know there'll be a lot of things to talk about, especially in the state of Florida.
Before we get started, you had a fantastic weekend. Share with the viewers your bucket list that you got to fulfill over the weekend.
Yeah, man. As many of you may or may not know, I'm retired Navy, but I'm also a broadcaster. And one of the things that I always wanted to do was cover the Army Navy game, and I had that opportunity to broadcast the game this week, and it was absolutely amazing. But also the Navy won, so that made it even better. That was the cherry on top.
It's there's something special when you're as a broadcaster, you're given those extra those little perks, and you're on the sideline. We've got pictures here that we're going to share. You're on the sideline. You got to hold one of those sweet helmets. They looked fantastic on television, and you got to hold one up. You're also involved locally with some of the bowls as well. So tell us a little bit about your affiliation with the Citrus Bowl and the insight that you have for those two games we're going to discuss coming up.
Yeah, I've been a member of Florida Citrus Sports for about 2 or 3 years now, and that's which is the Pop Tart and the Cheez It Bowl that we're going to talk about. I'm excited. There's a lot of great things that are happening here in the Orlando, Florida area, but just in Florida in general with the bowl games. And it's just great to be a part of something that I like.
You were in a meeting earlier this morning with our very first bowl that we're going to be doing here, the Cure Bowl. Tell us about some insight that you have for that. That game is coming up Wednesday, and they had their little soiree today. Tell us a little bit about what was going on in preparation for that game.
Yeah, we had a great time. We had the press conference today for both teams for the Cure Bowl, and what a tremendous bowl that is, And quite honestly, we had an opportunity to hear some of these young men's story, and it's more of not just about football, on the field. We learned some of their personal stuff that happens off the field, and some of the things that involves their families, and some of them, in some cases, them. So it was great to see that these young men are excited about playing the game, and most importantly, they're excited about playing this in this particular bowl game because they understand the importance of it, and they know what this bowl entails and how they're trying to help folks who are battling this disease we call cancer.
Let's talk about our first bowl game, the one we just discussed, the Cure Bowl. We're going to see Old Dominion, and they're taking on the University of South Florida. So it is a local team here. And tell us a little bit about your insight for these teams that you learned that you could share, that maybe those of us who've just kind of paid attention on the periphery, give us a little insight of what you heard.
Yeah, some of these teams are their players. Some of them are opting out, but ODU has they have a lot of pride. They're in that American Conference. So, well, actually, they're in the Sun Belt Conference, and so they want to make a name for themselves. There's a lot of the players who showed up today in the press conference, the three that were selected, and they said that they wanted to win this game and they wanted to represent. Because a lot of people predicted them not to even win this many games, and so this is kind of like a look at me now type game, but they're well within their rights to feel good for themselves, and they understand that they're in kind of quote unquote enemy territory because USF is right down the street in Tampa, but they say they're going to put on a great performance and they're excited.
And that game is this Wednesday at 5 p.m. at the right there in Orlando. You talk about a little bit about the festivities, because that's really what sells these bowl games. They're all within driving distance that we're going to discuss today, but it's more than just the loyalty to the teams. You could see two teams you've never seen in your life, but you're going to experience something with that bowl atmosphere. And you, as an insider, tell us a little bit about what they're doing for the fans.
Yeah, they have like the fan fest that's going to start at I think roughly about 1 o'clock, which is actually good. So you get an opportunity to come on out and just enjoy the different things. They got a march that they usually do, and I'm excited about it because they want to put on for this bowl game, but and most importantly, they want to bring more awareness to cancer and try to solve and get a cure for this cancer. And hence the reason why it's called the Cure Bowl.
That is, and that's ODU taking on USF. For our next bowl game, we travel over to the coast where the Memphis Tigers will be taking on NC State. Terry, what do you think about this bowl game and these teams?
Yeah, the Gasparilla Bowl always they're always full of excitement. But like you mentioned before, I'm an ACC guy, so Wolfpacks, they definitely want to. They're one of those teams in the ACC that are living in the shadows, quote unquote, of North Carolina. I mean, of Florida State, of Miami, and a couple of these other teams. So they're trying to really solidify their name, and they're trying to win this game. I don't think any particular team is trying to lose this game, but they have a lot of buy-in. Their coach is really a really good coach, so they're excited about being selected for this bowl and representing the ACC.
And I know Memphis is always one of those teams that is just ripe every game for that potential shocker. The polls do favor NC State. This game is Friday, December 9th at 2:30. It's a midday game. I always like the tenacity of which Memphis plays with. And NC State really has to come out, and they really have to bring, no pun intended, they got to bring the big dogs and a real fight.
Yeah, you said the night. I think it's the 19th. If I'm not mistaken.
It is December 19th, Friday, December 19th, 2:30. Yes, sir. The next game we're going to talk about has a new sponsor, and this is one of those games that has taken a little time to get some traction. It kind of was like on the periphery of the bowl games, but it's over time kind of really built a substantial base, and that is the Bush's Boca Raton Bowl. And this one is Tuesday, December 23rd at 2 p.m. You're going to see two teams that we would probably never really see in any type of regular season matchup. You're going to see Toledo, which is kind of a newcomer to the bowl season. They had a great season this year. They were bowl eligible. And they're going to be seeing a perennial bowl attendee in Louisville. Two very good teams in a bowl game. Bush's Baked Beans stepped up to take over the naming rights, and they're going to call this the Boca Raton Bowl of Beans game. Who do you like in this game?
Oh wow, the Bowl of Beans, and and Holy Toledo, good for them to come out and and represent. But once again, I'm an ACC guy, so I'm definitely I think Louisville, because they have a lot of great players on their team as well, and Louisville has. They have a lot of spark. They were right in it almost to the very end of making to the ACC championship, until a disappointing loss that they had. But I think Louisville they have a lot of great talent. So I think I'm gonna go with Louisville on this one.
I would definitely go with Louisville. I think Toledo is going to be up against far more talent than they were exposed to in the MAC. I like Louisville in that game as well. Our next game that we're going to talk about is that Pop-Tarts Bowl. And, of course, you're on that committee. But we're going to see Georgia Tech and Brigham Young. This game is Saturday, December 27th at 3:30. This game is that link game that was originally allocated to Notre Dame. Notre Dame declined. Georgia Tech stepped up. This changes the entire dynamic of this bowl game. I think you're going to see two more closely matched teams than you would have seen Notre Dame against BYU.
Yeah, a lot of people were really wanting Notre Dame to come down here and play, but for their reasons, they opted out. But Georgia Tech has a lot of buzz, quote unquote, no pun intended, right? They have a lot of buzz and excitement about them. In particular, it starts with the quarterback and the coach. When I had the opportunity to cover the ACC Media Day, I noticed how those players will go to combat for their coach at any time, because he set the precedent early, saying these are my expectations, take it or leave it. And these young men have gone to battle and fought hard for him. And so ACC is one of those other teams, like I mentioned before, with NC State, really trying to find their name, because when you think of Georgia Tech, you think about basketball oftentimes, and so they're trying to solidify their ranks in football and represent the ACC. But yeah, these are two good teams. But I think Georgia Tech is going to pull this one out. But I tell you what, BYU travels well.
It's 100% with BYU. That Big 12. The saying that the tide rises all ships. These victories, any victories that can be pulled off by a Big 12 team, is certainly going to legitimize. And then these are teams that will be part of the rotation on UCF's schedule. So these are the teams that you want to see and do well. So my heart's with BYU. The next game we're going to talk about, we're going to go north to the state line. We're going to go up to Jacksonville, where UVA, another ACC team, is going to be taking on the SEC's Mizzou, and that is Saturday, December 27th at 3:30 as well. Who do you like in this game? And I know your insight with the ACC. What is your take on this particular matchup?
Yeah, Virginia. I know they're slightly disappointed because they did have an opportunity to go to the college football playoffs, possibly if they would have won their ACC championship. And but I'm glad to see that they're coming down. They didn't opt out or anything. But this is going to be a good game as well. And I'm gonna go with ACC again on this one because the ACC is really trying to solidify their role in the college playoffs. And a lot of people sometimes give the ACC a little flack, for not playing a lot of heavy competition. But I think ACC is really trying to play who's willing to play them and just try to create a name for themselves. So Virginia, the Cavaliers, they're going to travel. They'll travel well. And once again, Virginia is another basketball school. So but they're trying to make their way in, and I think they have a good opportunity to win this game as well. The Gator Bowl. As I mentioned to you previously, that was the last bowl game that I covered that Bobby Bowden coached, the great coach at Florida State. And so it was good to see that. So I have, my personal feelings for the Gator Bowl because that was the last time I saw Coach Bowden coach. So yeah, this is exciting.
So that's going to bring us up to the ReliaQuest Bowl, and through its different incarnations and different naming rights that this bowl has gone through, officially in its lineage, this is the 40th anniversary of what is now the ReliaQuest Bowl, and we're going to see Iowa and Vanderbilt. This game will be played Wednesday, December 31st at noon. I know I have my favorite in this game. I'm going to let you lead.
Man, Vandy is balling, man, and what an exciting season for Vanderbilt. A lot of people kind of had them dead to rights, but that team showed up. The entire Vanderbilt team has that entire state buzzing right now, and I'm gonna go with Vanderbilt.
That's my choice as well. They have been so fun to watch, and it was really exciting. Again, one of those teams on my periphery of fanship. Wouldn't say I'm a fan, but you like the personal storyline that goes with that. They're a school that is they're an academic school.
Of course.
The likes of a Stanford, the GPA matters at a school like Vanderbilt. I'm not knocking some of the SEC schools, but I don't think that they all carry that same academic standard that Vanderbilt requires. Which changes. And you saw that this weekend. I mean, you saw some of the brightest and some of America's best youth on that field Saturday with the Army-Navy game, and it changes the dynamic for recruiting. So to see Vanderbilt have success that they had, let alone being in what is considered, bar none, the premier conference in college football, was really exciting. A conference that put 5 teams into the playoffs.
That's amazing. That goes to show you the makeup of the SEC.
Yeah. Our next game is all about drama, and leave it up to Michigan to bring the drama, off the field. Honestly, my heart goes out to the fan base of Michigan. It is a letdown. It's embarrassing. It's something that does not reflect the team or the team's values, the school's values. It is an unfortunate circumstance that Coach Sherrod found himself tied up in. But that being said, they're doing the right thing. I think the school did the right thing, obviously getting out in front of it. But that's the storyline carrying into the bowl game, which kind of taints that team coming in a little bit. I think it's going to be a motivating factor for them. But when you lose the head coach like that, I think you're going to see an explosion in the Michigan portal after this game.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's very disappointing too because you don't want that to overshadow these players and what they came out to, where they're coming out to do, and that's to win a football game. But they do have Texas on the other side. Texas is a little disappointed as well because they thought that they should have been in the college football, mentions as well. But Texas has a lot of talent. One thing that we know about Texas, and it starts from the high school level and on up. A lot of these guys that are from Texas, they know football, and so they're going to try to win. I got a young man that plays for Texas. I'm going to call him and see if he's actually going to play in the game. Jalen Gilbo. He's one of their in their secondary, so I'm hoping that he's able to play as well. But yeah, it's disappointing to see that Michigan won't have their coach, but these players should come out and still make a name for themselves because they do have a really good quarterback that they were able to get last year, and so we'll see how if he's playing, let's see how he's going to react. But these players should just lay it all out on the line and let all the other outside noise just kind of fade in the back for them. But this is going to be an exciting game. This is probably the marquee game of all the bowl games here in Florida.
Absolutely. And I was just about to reiterate the fact that you're on that Citrus Bowl committee and the fact that you were able to land two blue bloods. Texas, for their first time ever playing in Orlando for this particular seventh time for Michigan. In any other universe, this is a national championship caliber program. Both these have a history of national championships. You couldn't ask for a better matchup on a bowl game. So I know your committees and the people involved were thrilled to get two teams that are really the part of that core original football programs. Texas, of course, being dominant out of the South, and Michigan being dominant out of the Midwest for so many years. Early on in leather helmet days. What a great
back.
Congratulations to you guys being able to land those teams.
Yeah, it's a wonderful time for not only just for the committee, but it's a wonderful time for Orlando as well. Those two teams, as you mentioned before, they could be national. They could be playing for the national championship, and I'll tell you what, this is definitely a great start for college football. And getting all this talent.
Michigan's just a couple years removed from a national championship.
Correct.
Honestly, I believe Texas is just a couple years away from another national championship. Just to kind of bring it back to UCF, I always have a soft spot in my heart for Texas. When UCF opened the bounce house, Texas insisted that Gene Chizik insisted they be the first team that UCF played. Wow. They did not insist on a 1-for-1. They did not insist on anything. They just said, hey, we want to be a part of UCF history. They traveled to UCF. A huge name like Texas comes in, and that was the very first game ever played at the UCF bounce house at home. So I will always be appreciative to that. I always pull for Texas in any scenario because of that familial bond, if you will.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a great story. I'm glad you were able to share that as well, because a lot of people don't know that. They look at the what now. They look at the what's in present, but sometimes you got to go back into the history and find out the significance of football teams. And so that was a good thing that you shared that as well.
Yeah, and they waived the fees that you normally play for an away game.
Yeah.
Their head coach at the time, obviously, he knew what it meant to the UCF fan base, and they stepped up, and like I said, I'll always have a spot like that. And you as an FSU guy, that their program is just riddled with great stories of Bobby Bowden stepping up and doing those same things. He was huge in the 80s for UCF as well. And of course, his days at West Virginia and the Marshall tragedy. So football is a lot more. And you got a chance, like you said, you shared those stories. It's a lot more than gameplay.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And that's what makes it all exciting. You see all the stuff that's put together on the screen when you're watching TV, but you don't see the behind the scenes stuff that makes all these things work well and like a well-oiled machine as well.
Terry, I'm going to bring up our next graphic. This game will be Thursday, January 1st at 12 o'clock. This will be the second round officially of the playoffs down there in Miami. That is the Capital One Citrus Bowl. I'm going to put up a bold graphic because this is second round. And of course, on the left side of your screen there, the Oregon logo. It could be Oregon or JMU, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and make a really bold prediction that it'll be Oregon and Texas Tech.
Oh wow, yeah, you've been adamant about that from the beginning. As soon as you saw who they were going to be playing, yeah, JMU has their hands full. You know, a lot of people are still kind of shocked that they even made the college football college football playoffs. But I mean, this is what has to happen. And you know, stranger things have happened. You and I talked about this. I kind of liken this to the NCAA March Madness. You know, where a 16 team defeats a number one seed. So anything can happen. Anything is possible. But yeah, for the most part, I know you're sticking with Oregon. And hey, to be honest with you, I would be surprised if JMU won.
I know you've covered a number of games this year, high school here, and I know you were down in Vero Beach.
I like to call that play stick-to-itiveness. Seeing everything through to the end. That's what stick-to-itive means, and that's exactly what they did.
Incredible play. Thank you so much for taking time out. And we do want to share with the viewers and let them know these games are drivable. The tickets are relatively inexpensive. The experience is unbeatable, and it is a great family outing. You're talking about a great family time that you can, really make the most of something.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with it. And thank you for having me.
Make sure you follow him. His hashtag there is at the bottom at Terry Spain 21. I think I got that right. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you got it. You got me. And Sports First Media.
Sports First Media. And outside of football, you absolutely dominate local coverage for the Orlando Magic and the D League. So bravo to that as well, sir. So thank you for that coverage as well.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm Ron Lighthall, Terry Spain, and we look forward to coming back after the first of the year with some scores. So thanks for joining us.